welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are, game number 2 now. Here in this best-of-3 series, Complexity up 1-0, of course, here in the losers bracket round 3 matchup. So BMG backs against the wall here. This is it for them. They lose this, they are done. If they win this, we're going to a game number 3. So looking forward to see what happens. Excuse me there. I'm joined by Znui once again as my co-caster, and again, really curious about the draft especially. It is Insania drafting once again, first note there. And, hey, with the first couple of picks, it seems like gonna keep fairly aggressive still. We have Magnus into Andromeda, Ophelia into Deadwood coming out here with these picks. So how about it?
I'm surprised by how fast these bans are going through. Like the picks, the first few picks, like how are the teams dealing with this kind of speed? Like I would have just been sitting back, utilizing every single second to think about my picks. But these guys, they know what they want. They just constantly like pick it instantly. So good to see, definitely. Complexity though taking a little bit more time here on the third pick, seeing the Deadwood up on the roster or on the composition of the Hellborn team makes them question their next pick just a little bit. Magnus and Ophelia already. Who usually plays the Magnus for Complexity? That tends to be Fuzzy, right?
I believe so, yeah. They usually run it more in the mid with Fuzzy, yeah.
So
Sometimes
it's not
what you've
necessarily
got,
Oscar.
I guess. But,
oh,
no.
yeah, good point. But there is an Ophelia in this game, so I think we can rule that one out.
True. Well, Hellbringer actually changes it because, yeah, it is going to be Fuzzy on Hellbringer, you would think, so.
Let's rule it back in again. Just for the second.
Yeah. Kind of
Malikan as well coming out. Whoa, I'm surprised that they pick up the Malikan that far or that early. I mean, that's not necessarily the hero that you're going to see banned, is it? Not from what I have noticed.
I mean, BMG, like, when it comes to carries, you mentioned Silhouette, I know, but Malikan, it's a hero that Balthazar has tendency to play, but yeah, I don't know if that would have been one that Complexity would have been like, oh yeah, let's ban a Malikan here if they didn't pick up a carry. So, I'm with you there. It seemed a little early for that, but well, they're confident with
it does
Malikan.
give Complexity a kind of a good idea about what BMG is aiming for here. They already got the early aggression in the Deadwood. It's clear to say that he's going to be played by most likely. No, never mind. It might actually be both Mac and Boxy. But it's going to be aggression throughout the early game at least. They are going to have to deal with him somehow in the mid or in the suicide lane. And then there's going to be that Malikan a little bit more towards the late game. But it still feels like the overall picture is pretty clear for how BMG wants to play this one out. And I think that Complexity is in a great spot in actually counterpicking it. I already got the Hellbringer, lots of team fighting, the Ophelia, lots of team fighting as well, a lot of heal potential. So a lot of synergy between their heroes, once again, similar to game number 1, where they just want to group up as 5 people, just want to work as one unit. Then we got the Magnus as well. Still not sure about where he's actually going to be played. Like, he can be in the support role, I guess, somehow, but most likely it's going to be Oscar in the suicide lane. Now the question is for BMG, then do they put Malikan one-on-one versus that Magnus? I almost feel like they should. Andromeda is not the best babysitter for a Malikan and not the best outbox rider. So if I were Complexity Gaming, I would assume that it's going to be some kind of aggressive tri-lane or 2 aggressive dual lanes once more. So I feel like the picture is way more clear for how BMG wants to play this than it is for Complexity.
So then how will Complexity adapt to that's the question. You see an interesting banning phase there. You got really old carry bans from BMG, including the Madman final one, but that Oogie Salamon as well. You had Moraxis, Midas, and then Devo taken out by Complexity. So even see Formless making a point of that with respect. Whoa, Pearl coming out for Complexity. Not your everyday support, but I've always been a fan of this hero. I mean, especially for defensive supports. She's up there with her skill set, but I can't say I saw it coming here.
I didn't see it either. I would have expected something a little bit more stun heavy, yeah, the question is where they're going to play him out. I assume that he's going to be played as the babysitter, but as we talked about previously, like BMG still feels like they might go for that aggressive tri lane or at least an aggressive dual lane. So Pearl versus that, I'm not entirely sure if that's the right pick. They do have a great synergy between their heroes though, if they reach core items, if they can survive the laning phase good enough. Then they're definitely going to come out ahead. And Samref as well, as we can see, right-click there by what you got, that would clearly make their teamfight composition just almost as strong as possible, like on paper at least. There's literally not a hero that you would want to change. Puppet Master as well as being right-click. Yeah, Samref might be a little bit too greedy, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they got weak lanes, to say the least. So they might need something a little bit more stun heavy now when they got that very defensive support in Pearl.
Yeah, more of an aggressive carry definitely would make sense here for sure. Yeah, I do think Samwraith may be a little too greedy over the top, and that could really bite them in the ass. So they're going through several options here, but obviously we still have BMG with our fourth one. Waiting on Insania, putting a lot of thought in here into this fourth pick. I'm sure talking it over with Fusen and the likes of the team here as far as what they want to do, but dropping down about 15 seconds now of extra time, so going to have to decide. I mean, Cthulhu and Parasite have both been right-clicked for a while, so it might just be a decision between those two on what they want to do here. I mean, both definitely have benefits. I'm personally always more of a fan of a Parasite, but...
yeah, I was on your page.
Okay, there you go Cthulhu font.
I feel like Parasite has more synergy or more counter initiation at least versus the Legion team. Like him getting a fast puzzle box, for example, running around there, even if Hellbringer were to ultimate, you can just leave your creep immediately and just get rid of the stuns. Cthulhu doesn't quite have the same luxury, but this kind of tells that it's going to be some kind of aggression at least. I mean, some kind of aggressive tri-lane. The only question is, did Complexity Gaming perhaps overestimate themselves just a little bit picking that Pearl? Because Cthulhu is clearly a choice to counter the Ophelia and just follow him through the forest all the time. Like, Pearl is not going to necessarily be able to help him.
What?
With the Berserker,
what?
Your hero.
Oh my god, Complexity! What are they doing? I love it. I don't care what they're doing. I just love it across the board. Demented Shaman, the final pick, but what? Berserker? Okay, you know, this is just for a trip to freaking Thailand on the line.
Oh, man.
Why? Oh, so obviously I'm excited to see it. I know people are going to be, you know, excited. This hero just brings a lot of fun to the table, but why would they go Berserker here?
I don't know. Like, I don't feel like his laning presence is that strong. Like, he needs core items before he can really start dealing auto-attack damage. And then BMG, like, right away, picking up the Demented Shaman without even hesitation. Like, they didn't even care about Legion team picking the Berserker. They just picked up the Demented Shaman straight away after, so they didn't care. I have no idea why you would do that. Yeah. Wouldn't it be better to at least adjust to the situation just a little bit? Maybe like take a few seconds and think this through. Is the Demented Shaman really the best here? Like, he is good with the extra armor for the team. I mean, that's definitely going to slow down the Berserker. But in general, is Demented Shaman going to be able to do that much for the team here?
God, yeah, that was yeah, you're right. I mean, crazy fan. I'm just so stuck up on the Berserker, but yeah, Demented Shaman for PMG, definitely another one of those. Where's the okay, so I have talked with who was it before? I think it was actually Sync, and I know obviously Insania, you know, knows Sync very well, Slaps especially, and former teammate of his and everything, and they've used this combination of a Demented Pandemonium or whatever, and Demented every once in a while with the idea that he's very good for, you know, saving a hero that really wants to go in and go into a fight with that Unbreakable, especially the Healing Wave, and of course the Storm Cloud brings some decent value here. So, you know, looking at this lineup though, again, they don't have that Pandemonium style of hero. I mean, I guess Malakun is going to be in those front lines. You know, that kind of works too, and there's synergy
so
with the minus armor.
him.
But yeah, no, there is with the Pearl starting with him and then goes from there. So, yeah, Demented does seem a little odd.
I mean, there
here,
is the Cthulhu plus Demented Shaman aggressive combination, but that feels more like a matchmaking kind of composition than it does for a competitive usage.
Yeah.
At least on paper.
Does that mean they're going to... Wait, so they're going to lane the Cthulhu font because Boxy's playing it too. Okay, so...
I don't know. I was under the impression that they were going to use it just running after Ophelia nonstop. And then having Andromeda kind of like a babysitter for the Cthulhu fan, just making sure that he's okay, of course, as well. But now when I got the Demented Shaman, only Insania especially...
Yeah, no, now that you mention that, I actually think this is definitely going to be a laning Cthulhu font with that combo. So, I mean, that I guess is a little more sense to it, but yeah, you make a great point there. That feels like a matchmaking thing. That doesn't feel like something you're doing at a top-tier competitive tournament match. But it does have potential. I mean, right? He charges a creep wave. They're all on top of that hero. The healing wave does insane damage as a result of it. Of course, that's the synergy there. So... we'll see if they can pull it off here, but yeah, with who's playing the heroes and everything, it does. I mean, so what? Are they going to go aggressive then if they do that?
I assume so. Like, all props to BMG for actually daring to try this out. And I mean, as much as I want to watch a game number 3, just for the excitement alone, it's just On paper, it feels like Complexity Gaming got this. I feel like it's a little bit of an all-in almost from BMG. They're just so damn dependent, even more dependent than in game number one, on the laning phase being successful. Like if that doesn't happen, like there's no comeback, like there's no rescuing. Like there's no Tempest, for example, that has potential for an Elemental Void on 5 heroes. Like there's no coming back.
Yeah.
Like Malikan is not going to be able to be a solo show here in this game. And I don't feel like the supporting cast for him is necessarily the best either. There is the Demented Shaman that has great synergy with him, but I've never been the biggest fan either. Having Andromeda with melee heroes, Malikan sure gets a little bit of a ranged out attack when he's in that ulti form, but still, I still feel like the same kind of principle applies. I mean, Evil Corporation, they are the ones that are most noticeably known for playing Andromeda, and they do it so incredibly well. Like, Nier is just outstanding, but he always plays it with ranged heroes. Like, it's always like a Clanks, something that actually takes benefit of being swapped back, where he can continue to right away deal, you know, tons of physical damage in the backlines. I don't feel like BMG got that going for them here. I feel like if they lose the laning phase, then it's like Complexity Gaming, have it your way.
Yeah. No, I mean, let's just say I will say, to kind of be the devil's advocate here. I mean, we've said these things before. On paper, it seems like one thing is just like not really all there, and before you know it, they win the game in 20 minutes and they just absolutely dominate. So obviously there is that potential, of course, as there always is, but. Yeah, it does feel like that Complexity definitely got the better of things. And, you know, I was even breaking down a little further. I was kind of thinking more about this Pearl here and the idea of her asphyxiating, kind of looking at what maybe that could be decent against as far as purging goes. And, you know, things like Demented Shaman, actually. Both the Unbreakable as well as even an Entangle, perhaps on one of his teammates. You know, if she wants to use that to get it off or use it on offensively to remove the Unbreakable from a hero. So not saying that that's going to be, you know, that's a hard counter, but it does counter the hero in a sense as far as taking away some benefit there. So yeah, well, we're getting all this time to hero craft and theory craft and figure out what may happen, but
assumingly the teams do the same thing right now. They're kind of trying to figure out the lanes, like what are the possible outcomes, like what are the potential laning stages that we could, like what happens if Legion team does this, what happens if Hellborn team does this, how do we adjust, do we rotate right away, do we stay, what do we prioritize, like all of that. Like there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration here, and it really comes down to adaptability as well when the laning phase actually begins, as soon as Complexity Gaming actually sees what happens, because we are not even sure. Like it could be Cthulhu and Demented Shaman, but it could also be something completely different. I mean, this is BMG we're talking about, so everything is like a possibility. So it comes down to adaptability here for Complexity Gaming, how fast they can react to the Hellborn lanes, I feel.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Finally. We're going with game number 2 here and going to see the potential here. And obviously Berserker as a hero, very few times we've seen it. I feel like Complexity's been one of the teams that has played it and played it for us before. You know, they know that I love the hero and everything. So, but again, the potential of this hero, it is a lot of fun, but I will say he needs some time. You need to kind of get the farm on him going, and it can take a little bit. But once he starts to get that farm rolling, then it's just his gameplay, his mentality of I'm just going to go into these fights, pop carnage, have the mark for death on you, and just deal a lot of damage. And man up, basically, is an awesome play style. So we'll see. Get to see that. At least that's the hope here.
We have seen it a few times throughout Season 4, I think. I think most noticeably it was Kiesu, actually, when he was playing with Sync, or whenever that was.
I remember that.
You know, when he played with Insania as well. So, I mean, BMG should definitely be prepared, at least. I mean, they definitely know what the hero is all about, so there's not necessarily a surprise factor by any means. They definitely know what's awaiting them if they allow Berserker to get farm here. But we will see. I don't think it has been too successful, unfortunately. It's a fun hero to watch. It's a really strong hard carry, but it takes a lot, seeing as he got a very weak laning presence.
I'm sorry. I'm just caught up with this Demented Shaman avatar. Like, what is this thing?
I don't know.
It looks like a rubber ducky, like as a shield. Oh boy!
Why does he even have a shield on his word?
What have we done? I will say the skin itself, though, it's very nice.
Insania is being like that was really risky.
Yeah.
Like, don't overestimate yourself now. I mean, you're only 2 people down here.
Yeah, Berserker has that chain spike, but
What you got, though? The question is, does he want to go trample on Cthulhu? I assume. No, he's going to go for the Eat
There's
instead.
the hook him. He takes out Parasite. Berserker's getting low. He's not leveled up yet, so he can't really man up as effectively, and Berserker will go down to start things off. They definitely did not suspect Andromeda to be here. I mean, I think that's what really threw them off there. In that
But
fight.
shouldn't they? Like, I do
Exactly,
understand
yeah.
that it didn't, but I feel like they should have. Especially when Fuss is lost. I mean, I would assume that as soon as he saw that Deadwood was alone on his lane, he would call that out to his teammates. So, I mean, definitely props for BMG for rotating Fusen over in that kind of angle. But at the same time, you almost gotta blame Complexity just a little bit. They knew what they were up for.
Yeah.
Or what they were up against. And here we go once more in Hellbringer. Oh, the creeps, though. It's gonna block. It's going to save Hellbringer.
Barely saving right there. Look at how far Make's up, though. On this Deadwood. But yeah, Fuzzy does barely stay alive, but that's good, of course. Stays alive. Ophelia even coming over as if they want to take out this Andromeda. That's how the Catman Champion block, and that's why. But in the end, Fusen is going to be able to make it out of there and escape. Takes a little more damage in the process. But yeah, so the lanes now are starting to go back to what you would expect here. But yeah, BMG, again, it really just felt like that they were trying to bait that out, and sure enough, they got it. And obviously they get the prime kill in Berserker to top it all off. So looking forward to seeing this combo, though. Again, the idea that he charges a creep wave into a hero, specifically Pearl, you would think, and throws that heal bomb on top can do good damage here. So probably wants to even wait till level 3 to get that level 2 healing wave to really try to go for it. But doesn't have a second point just yet, doesn't Sania. So curious to see what he's going to plan to do with that here as the time moves on. But yeah, it's going to be a tough time for Berserker.
Andromeda is down here now, but they do have vision, spotting him, rotating over. I mean, the question here is really BMG, like, how are they going to address this? Like, if the game just continues like this, at this pace, obviously BMG at some point need to step up. Like, they cannot allow Berserker to get last hits and experience down here, because if they go equal in the laning phase, like, it's definitely going to favor Complexity Gaming. No doubt about it. And here we go. Whoa!
Wow! I mean, there you go. Demented Shaman, level 2 healing wave, and that's the combo. So maybe you were not giving it enough credit, but holy crap. I know that's on paper. It sounds strong. That nearly killed him just from the healing wave alone. That was pretty ridiculous.
Did not expect that. I underestimated that damage big time. And I think that Complexity Gaming did the same thing.
Yeah.
They were not ready for that kind of burst.
Well, that's so that explains this draft a little bit more now from BMG. It wasn't clear enough just yet. So obviously their start is looking strong and very early on. Not to get too ahead of anything here, of course, but even that, you see Berserker goes every time he goes into the creep wave, and Sandy is throwing out that heal bomb, and thus Berserker's taking some good damage. So yeah, he's gonna need to get that strength sap leveled up, and eventually that carnage and being able to start possibly going for some hero kills himself. But until then, this is definitely a big downside of Berserker. He really does need some time to get things going. So as much as I love the hero and everything, Complexity finding themselves in a little bit of a tough spot, at least in the early game here at that bottom lane. How are the other lanes going, by the way?
They are, well, I wouldn't necessarily say they're going well for the side of Complexity. If you look at the goal per minute chart, it's kind of overwhelming for the side of Hellborn.
Wow. That's going awful. Holy crap, I'll just say it out. Yeah, this is going awful for Complexity. BMG is dominating across the board. Talk about a statement game here for game number 2. So I know it's only 4 minutes in, but yeah, they're winning all 3 lanes, and that's never good if you're the opposition.
That's never good. Oscar has picked up a Logger's Hatchet now, realizing that he is up versus a solo Malikan. I think that he was a little bit hesitant in the start, but now when he got a Logger's Hatchet, at least he should be able to get a little bit more even in terms of last hitting up here in the top lane. But Hellbringer, like, he's level 5 though. Like, if you take a look at the experience meter instead, rather than a gold per minute, it's looking a lot brighter at least. Magnus and Hellbringer are at least both above 300 gold per minute, or 300 experience per minute. So, to a certain extent at least, you could expect this, seeing the drafts. Only question is if BMG can keep up the pressure, as we see Fusen rotating over here. But setting up a kill on Magnus here is not an easy task. I almost feel like it's wasting time.
Yeah.
I mean, Malikan, he does have his ultimate though now, but he doesn't have mana since he just used his sword for a right there to last hit, so maybe a little bit miscommunication between the two.
Oh, Magnus going to be fine for the time being, so yeah, you see Andromeda, well, it's going to go back and forth, but obviously this ward, again, really seeing Fusen come over, so Oscar, he has a good heads up here. He knows that something may be coming, so not going to risk going out too far. Bottom lane, Ophelia coming over with the Skeleton King. Gonna try to make a play. Mark for Death is ready on Berserker. They got Pearl here. Again, not necessarily the greatest offensive hero.
Up in the top lane now. Sword for actually missing though from Balthazar. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think that Oscar is just going to pour it out. Yeah. Well played by him.
And then bottom lane. Yeah, they were going pretty much the same time, but you see.
Yeah, and the mid lane
BMG,
as well.
They fall
Dead
back.
would almost hitting the grass on Hellbringer.
Oh, that would have been a kill. Yeah, he's level 6. So,
Yep.
whoa, back to the bottom. I kind of went away from that in the last second, but Berserker, he is manning up right here. Does lose the team in Pearl, but they do take out Demented Shaman. And now Cthulhu fought the one that has to get away. Has a trample in 2 seconds. Is going to be fine.
And the mid lane. Action continues. Muck is on the hunt for this Hellbringer. He just is level 6 though. Whoa, just imagine if that would have been a split second later. Mack would have actually committed into the tower range, and the Hellbringer would have just gotten to level 6.
Well, he has support coming over to this Hellbringer. So actually, if Deadwood is a little too aggressive here, this could backfire on him because that Malphus comes out, Magnus stuns in perhaps, and then you got a kill out of it. So, yeah, looks like Make is going to pick up on that, at least maybe go for the rune up top. Yeah, it happens to be a refreshment rune here, but still a rune nonetheless that he's going to get control of here. But we are seeing those level 6s hit, and obviously expecting some plays now perhaps to be made as a result of it. But yeah, again, going back to Berserker, you mentioned the idea of Sand Wraith. They were right-clicking that for a while, and how that would have been greedy. I mean, I really think Berserker, again, fits that same boat. Like, he's a really greedy hero, honestly. I mean, sure, he has a little bit of potential for being aggressive early on, but the other thing about him, his farming potentials is very weak. Very weak. He needs, these items. Hence the greediness, I guess you could say.
Yeah, his global presence as well. I mean, it's not even remotely the same. Like, I don't know, just the pressure that Samuref applies to the board, to the entire map, is just...
True.
I don't know, I feel like that's just should be valued so much higher than picking up Berserker here. No offense, like, taking a shot at,
it
Berserker
sucks to
here,
say
but,
that, yeah. It's like... feel bad saying that, but because they're even shouting out me and be like this, but it's like at the same time there's a lot on the line here, guys. Like, you got to really keep that in mind. I love that you're doing this out of respect or whatever, but
yeah, the first 4 heroes just scream the team fight for Complexity Gaming. You don't pick a Berserker that literally has no capacity at all when it comes to team fighting.
Yeah.
So questionable. BMG is actually going to group up now, so I love the initiative, at least from them, to keep the pressure up. I mean, they need to keep Complexity Gaming out of their forest now, because Berserker is not going to be able to find a place to get back into the game, get back into the farming game. Like, he's not a kind of a special, ruined axe pickup kind of hero.
Exactly.
No, he relies on, action, on the tower kills. He relies on completely different things than a normal ruined axe type of carry. So BMG, as long as they can keep him away from just his own forest, it's looking incredibly bright for them.
That's where it's really interesting, because you mentioned he's not really that rune cleaver pickup hero. He's a strength carry, of course. You'd figure similar to a Malakin with the idea of the Insanitarius. Depending on how he feels, the Elder Parasite could be a potential, or just even the Whispering Hill for the lifesteal is good, especially with that Carnage activated. So, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, though, but again, none of those are really true farming tools, and with him not having that enhanced farm like, say, a Malakin does with that sort of the damned ability, press W, he's doing that much more damage and whatnot. The sword throw, of course, also helps with that. It really just isn't that strong. So I guess what I'm getting at is, can he even be more greedy and go in Alchemist Bones? Really try to get this farming tool, or even the Rune Cleaver. I mean, I think that's maybe a little bit too much of a stretch, but Alch Bones maybe?
It's an interesting idea. I didn't take that into consideration, but let's see. It depends. I mean, there is going to be a Whispering Helm picked up by Malakin. I mean, you could take his creeps, and obviously it's going to boost your farm, but I think it's stretching it just a little bit as well. I think that it's going to make him too squishy. I think they have to rely more or less on their team fight composition here, just grouping up as 5 and trying to go together as soon as Ophelia gets his core items. Magnus with Spolky as well. I think it's better if they just try to create some kind of a timing when they all get core items and they can go together and just actually push down towers. There isn't the strongest of counter-pushing abilities on the Hellborn side. There's not a Magnus, in game number 1, for example, that you need to be careful for, or a hook coming out from Devour. There is a Deadwood or a Willowmaker, of course, that you need to be careful for, but apart from that, it's rather cool.
So I guess it really just comes down to, yeah, get some early farm here, group up and start pushing towers, make team fights happen, and try to win these fights, get those kills on Berserker and farm that way. Because, yeah, when it comes to the traditional farming and farming creeps, again, he just doesn't have that strength. And with the start especially, that's not going to be a prime spot. So, but again, back to BMG on the other side of it. Obviously, things are going fantastic. We really haven't even talked too much about Malakin, but yeah, 390 gold per minute. Already has a Helm of the Victim. A very good start for Baltazar here. But of course, he's just one of many great things. In fact, the top 4 farmers, Demented Shaman even, is all right in farm, happen to be on the side of BMG. That is pretty absurd.
They're rotating in with the minions to the mid lane. Not entirely sure about this. This feels like just sacrificing. Oh, they really want to take this fight.
Yeah, they do. Malphus comes out. They're in a decent spot here. Magma stuns through. There's enough damage, though. Berserker runs in. The chain spike. He's got the carnage up. Deadwood gets a heal. Down goes Berserker. But so does Deadwood. But Berserker, you just saw him drop all of a sudden. If that carnage up, they do get the counter kill onto Cthulhu as well. But now with Malakin here, it's extra scary. But Malphus is doing some good damage. You see Demented Shaman, that half-life nearby. Magnus, there we go, stuns through. But Cthulhu coming back in actually with the buyback. Very early buyback. He misses a stun though. Hit the creeps off him, but Malakin will fall. Demented Shaman actually. The unbreakable heal. Wow, that was a big heal right there. For Demented Shaman.
The 5th lava surge in this fight alone.
Andromeda, wow, go down. Yes, wow, that's a lot of lava surges. Oscar, can he get another one out of here? Intellect boots, lava surge. He's gonna try to, and he gets out. Well played, Oscar. Big plays. I mean, that actually went decent for Complexity, honestly, considering Berserker died off the bat.
That went freaking amazing. Couldn't hope for a better outcome than that for Complexity Gaming. Like, what a freaking stand. That was questionable. Like, why are you running in with your Minotaurs? You're just going to give them up for BMG to farm. But BMG, they didn't expect it. Like, they were just so sure that they were going to get the tower for free, so they weren't prepared for it at all. Malakin wasn't there. He was farming the force as well. They just felt so confident that they didn't expect it at all. And Complexity Gaming is taking advantage of that kind of mindset. And just with that haste rune, like, they realized that we got a haste rune of Magnus. This means so damn much for us. Like, he was able to land lava surge after lava surge. And as skilled as Oscar is, he just utilized his steam buff in his lava surge to constantly disjoint the Hellborn's abilities as well. Even with the buyback from Cthulhu wasn't enough to shut him down. And in the end, like, he gets away as well. So, I mean, Complexity Gaming, I mean, they're back in experience, and that's really all they want.
Yeah, the other thing, too, Pearl hitting a level 6 now, too. We didn't even see her bubble that last fight. In fact, bottom lane, they're going to make a play right here. The World Bubble on Dimension Shaman in the back on the Eruption. Cthulhu, he's tanky, man. But he is not tanky enough. He will go down, and now it's Dimension Sturm. Again, the Mark for Death going to refresh. Look at that bubble to push away from the Homecoming Stone, and they do get the kill on that, too. So double tap for Oscar on Magnus. So he's talking about Magnus that previous fight. Obviously, a double tap there for him. Definitely the big momentum builder for him and Complexity right here. So, okay, things again looking all of a sudden not too bad for Complexity and what they got going. But Malakin does keep things going positive for BMG on the other side of it, as he takes out the top tower by himself, and he's still 430 gold per minute now. I do want to bring up Demented Shaman, speaking of him dying right there, too. His build, and we kind of saw in that last fight, he actually maxed out the Unbreakable first, doesn't have anything in Entangle, and actually did choose to pass up the Stormcloud as well. I mean, that itself is, I understand that, but maxing out Unbreakable first does seem a little interesting to me. I'm not saying it's wrong, but that's, I don't know.
Mid lane, by the way. He missed the grasp, though. Mac using the grasp before the Willowmaker is going to pay off, and he's going to go down as a result. Not good, and not good at all. And he was so close to his pull key as well. Just got a little bit too greedy there, once again. But yeah, as you were talking about, like, the Demented Shaman, like, I didn't pay attention to that, but that's a good point to bring out. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, this is all aggression now coming out from BMG. They need to keep the pressure up if they want to win this game, and going from defensive, like, probably the most defensive ability in the game. I mean, I guess you could use it offensively as well. I mean, it gives you attack speed, but in core, it's more defensive than the Entangle, at least. So not entirely sure what his mindset is about that one. Hopefully he's got a plan. They're gonna need it, at least, if they want to stop the pressure coming out from Complexity Gaming now here in the near future.
Well, and again, I'm not saying that this is like what Pearl's looking for every fight, but Pearl does have an ability with that Asphyxiate to actually remove the Unbreakable. So the fact that he kind of went all in the style of this early game, at least, of maxing that out first, Pearl could just remove that by pressing Q and targeting that target.
That's a really good point. If Love actually picks up on that, the fact that Unbreakable is maxed, like, he can just look for that in every single game, or in every single team fight.
Yeah.
If he's in position, that is. I mean, that's another question, but still a good point to bring out there. Running over. Does he have the Willowmaker? No, he doesn't. He's gonna port over to the top lane instead. No, he's just gonna farm his Polar Kit, seems. So he's wasting a lot of time right now, actually.
Oh, now Demented Shaman. He's gonna get caught. Pearl, by the way, maxing out. Pearl's going a pretty aggressive route herself. She actually hasn't even touched the Soothing Presence. Just maxed out the World Bubble first. So, you know, a lot of burst damage from that, and shows off there to help set up the kill onto that Demented Shaman. So, yeah, Demented kind of pushed up pretty far by himself. I mean, I guess Cthulhu Font was in the area.
No, Oscar, by the way, he missed his lava surge over the cliff. Now he's in trouble.
Uh-oh.
He tried to get away, but he misclicked it. He might actually turn... Oh, don't turn around.
Malakin, yeah, pops the ultimate trying to chase him down, but unable to do so. So, yeah, a little bit of
his one opportunity. Yeah, I mean, he was just living in the momentum right there. Like, the now was everything for him. He just saw a misplay from Magnus. He figured perhaps there's a chance. I better take it. Rather be safe than sorry, I guess. I don't think it's going to cost BMG anything necessarily. Like, their offensive kind of strategy has already been slowed down to the extent that they cannot really take team fights anymore. And if Magnus were to hit level 11 here, which he is in the near future, and get that portal key off him, is like, how are you ever going to break towers if you're BMG? Like, you don't have any team fight.
Top lane, Hellbringer. Oh my god, is he actually going to live? No, he's not. The log finally comes out. Just gonna kill, but god, that took forever to take out Hellbringer here at the top lane.
Mid lane as well, initiation. Eruption going off.
That's Cthulhu Font. He's tanky again with that Beast Heart, but not enough. Demented coming in last second. Uh-oh, now Demented Shaman might be in trouble, although this could be bait too. Deadwood nearby. Rotten Grass going to miss, though. The stun through on Demented. He's going to survive, though, as the healing wave is used. So there's not enough here for complexity to really make a fight happen, because Berserker and Pearl, meanwhile, just pushing down the bottom tower. Keep the pressure on down there. So well played as far as the fight goes here in the middle lane.
There's no
ports
on anyone on the Hellborn team. So they cannot defend this even if they wanted to.
No.
Or even if they wished to. Giving away that tower to Complexity Gaming is a little bit of a mistake, unfortunately. That's going to open up a lot of space, or at least let Berserker feel a lot safer when he's farming Zone Forest.
Yeah, I mean, Berserker, how about him? 318 gold per minute now. So, again, for a hero that really just doesn't have the strongest farming skill set, as well as item for that matter, he's actually doing pretty solid here in the end. As he has 2,100 gold saved up. The Helm of the Victim, again, it could be either or, Whispering Helm or Insanitarius. I feel like the Insanitarius is really good on him, so maybe that route in the end. But, again, the lifesteal is also pretty good to have, especially with that Carnage, as I talked about. So
I would favor the Insanitarius, though, simply because of the burst damage from the Hellborn team. I mean, you can get Whispering Helm. I don't necessarily think that you must have the lifesteal at this moment, at least. Later on, yes, of course. But as of right now, I think staying alive, just building up with your team composition, just going together is what matters. As long as you don't drop your Berserker in the team fights, you are going to come out victorious in those fights.
Of course, on top, but, yep.
Yeah, now I was just thinking about this as well. I mean, that's exactly the moment why you shouldn't give up those first-tier towers. They're too Complexity Gaming. I mean, Berserker, as you mentioned, like not having the farm capabilities, just getting that extra gold just helps him so much on his way to these next-tier items.
Yeah. And you see the Sanitarius being delivered to him right there. So, yeah, there we go. I was going to say, yeah, something to maybe look forward to as far as this game goes on is that Staff of the Master. Potentially on him too, because it honestly is a really strong item, perhaps in that mid to late game stage. So, but there is priority first, though, of course. As middle lane, definitely potential action here. You see both sides kind of doing their thing. Rotten Grass going to come out, but in the end, look at Hellbringer, by the way, the Void Talisman again. Fuzzy also doing his typical build here of the Sacrificial Stone. We've talked about this before. It really just doesn't matter who he's playing, it feels like. He's going to get those Steam Boots, the Sacrificial Stone, and that's kind of the core there. So he even likes the Shrunken Head a lot of the time. So, but he does get the Void Talisman this game. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense here against the makeup of BMG.
Whoa, look at this. Balthazar going for the Bulwark. What?
Huh, interesting. Instead of the Insanitarius, yeah.
Going all in the armor, I would have understood it a little bit more if Legion team were the one to have the Demented Shaman. Yeah. Oh, top lane, Cthulhu in trouble again.
Yeah, is it enough? No, it's not. The swap at the last second. Malphus does come down, though. Andromeda is going to be picked off. You do see the fear effect going through as well. Malachi, though, was going in. No, he actually was a decent placement, but he chose not to. There's a Pearl Bubble, and Deadwood going to be picked up as a result. The Stormcloud does hit multiple heroes on the Legion side, but they just don't have enough firepower. Mark for Death is on Malakin. You see Berserker chasing. Can he get in range? No, he cannot. He wants Demented Shaman, though. They want the free kill over here, and they're going to get it. Demented Shaman goes down. Fuzzy Sloth, credit for the kill right there. So a 3-for-0 exchange in Complexity's favor that time around. And they're now starting to get this really, really good momentum going here. As Berserker gets low, but he is fine.
Yeah, it's tapering or taking off that Incinerator drops him quite a bit. But yeah, Complexity Gaming, I mean, what can you say? Like, they are just playing this flawlessly. Like, they are definitely like just utilizing their strengths to the team composition in an entirely different league right now than BMG is. Like, BMG, I mean, it felt like on paper they had some kind of a plan, but it doesn't really feel like they have accomplished anything with it.
Yeah.
I guess the team fight in the middle changed things up just a little bit as far as when it comes to just being aggressive, but still, like, the draft in general, just what was like the main objective? Like, you drafted this even before Berserker was picked up on Complexity Gaming, so you clearly saw that Complexity Gaming was once more going for this heavy team fight late game kind of style. So I mean, you can't really I don't know, Complexity Gaming just being the better team here right now. Oscar as well on Magnus just making big difference for his teams, and another haste run. We saw what happened last time he had one of those.
Yeah, and you know, Demented Shaman too, going back to him, obviously there is still the synergy of the Storm Cloud with this team.
Oh, they're going to find Berserker though.
Are they? They are going to find him over here in the jungle. He does have survivability though with the Sanitarius. Yes, he uses the heal on top of that. Look at the turn now. Again, this is Berserk. Oh, he got ported back. I guess that's for the better, yeah.
Yeah, that was beautifully played.
Yeah.
Like, now Willowmaker is on cooldown. Now what can you really do if you're BMG? The answer is literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to wait. You're so dependent on Deadwood just making big plays, just finding pickups non-stop. Like, there is no like comeback potential here. Malikan, I guess, but can he really even stand up versus the Berserker in 1-versus-1 situations? I'm not even sure. I feel like the supportive casting or supportive cast is just so much stronger for the Legion side.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that Soul's Bulwark. Sorry, I'm going to mention there for a second, but it's really quickly. Soul's Bulwark on Malikan. They have other candidates for that item. I mean, both Cthulhu Font and Deadwood definitely could use that item too. I mean, I know the full Demonic Breastplate is great on Malikan at the same time, but the fact that he did that over that Insanitarius, you kind of figure, and it looks like he's just skipping that altogether. He really is going to be lacking on a lot of his damage. Honestly, the Insanitarius early on is what really allows Malikan to be a very scary threat earlier in the game, at least in the early to mid game phase. So with him choosing not to do that, you know, he's not dealing as much damage, and I guess you could argue they don't necessarily deal with all the minus armor, but I guess it's give or take here.
Yeah, Box is just picking up the Helm of the Black Legion as well, favoring that over the Portkey. That just means that the Hellborn team is just not going to have any initiation tools. Like, it's going to be all about Deadwood finding pickoffs, just putting them in an even... Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I like this. I mean, this defensive route here from the Hellborn team felt like, on paper at least, it was pretty clear that they needed to go all in on aggression, otherwise they wouldn't be able to win this game. But right now I guess they're just desperate and feeling like we need to just make what's best of a bad situation kind of deal.
Yeah. But man, now you have this Pearl that's kind of built up here, a level 3 Soothing Presence, soon to be level 4. I mean, that's so she's basically has an Astrolabe herself, and then of course you have the actual Astrolabe on Ophelia on top of that, and yes, they do stack in this case, because one's an item and one's an ability, so then you got the bubble on top of that, the Ophelia's Touch. I mean, this is a very defensive supportive team, and team fight in general. So this Berserker, I actually like this, we didn't really talk about this yet, but the Elder Parasite, I think makes a lot of sense because, again, he has a lot of defensive supports around him, so he can risk going this very aggressive style. You see that right there, the Asphyxiate on Berserker to remove the Stormcloud debuff that was on him as in case a fight was about to break out right there. So, again, you can tell Love's on top of that with making sure to, you know, purge off effects, both negative and positive here. So, but yeah, Berserker, and there's a Glowstone actually too. So maybe Staff of the Master now going to become an extra line, which I mentioned earlier. It's great. Great item for
They know Stormcloud is on cooldown now as well, so I feel like Complexity Gaming should try to take advantage over the hill, get the ward up before they commit too much to this tower. They don't necessarily know where everyone from BMG is at this moment. The Deadwood could just as well be lurking north of them in the forest, like with the help of his third ability. So I feel like maybe a little bit more vision before they commit 100% to a fight. I don't necessarily think this is a bad idea pushing this tower, but you could easily just ward up the forest just a little bit more as well.
See right there, another Stormcloud used again. It's only a 40-second cooldown, so able to kind of refresh. So down to 19 here. It's over to the side. Magnus actually gets fouled, but there's Ophelia's touch the bubble as well at the last second. Keeps him alive. Malakin jumps in the midst of it, but it's doing a lot of heal, remember, on top of that as well. Meanwhile, Berserker in the background, he's chasing several heroes back here. So several different fights going on, but now Berserker falling back actually with the team. He's going for Malakin. Boxy really deep right here, but now Malakin overcommitted it looks like, and Berserker focus firing him. Nice down onto Berserker though. Pearl is lost. Can they save Malakin in the end? Yes, the lifesteal is just enough. He will go down, but they kill Berserker. But here comes that eruption now from Magnus. He stuns through. They take out Cthulhu Fun. No buybacks throughout this. Andromeda will fall. And in numbers-wise, at least, Complexity will win the fight, and they will take out the tower on top of that. So yeah, definitely in the long run, Complexity favored in that fight.
Oh boy, what a freaking team fight that was. Back and forth constantly. Malkin making the right decision, definitely going balls to the walls really, just jumping straight into the Pearl ultimate. What is that called even? In the Eye of the Storm, more or less, kind of situation. Perfect placement by him. He literally scared or feared all 4 of the Complexity members, but in the end, yeah, Complexity game just being a little bit too strong. I mean, their ultimate just put them in such a favorable position, even without the Magnus eruption there in the start, seeing as he got caught. They still come out on top. That's just terrible news for BMG, who desperately needed to win the team fight, and they lost the tower in the process as well.
Yeah. Yeah, very good fight for Complexity. On the other side for BMG, not so much. But again, they do still have the top farmer in that Malakin. But, you know, maybe as we saw a little bit that last fight, I mentioned he had a great placement even, but lacking a little bit on the damage side. They really are relying on this minus armor to kick in. And definitely have the Malakin, you know, being able to take advantage of that. But, you know, outside of Malakin, they really don't have a lot. It really is just Deadwood with that upfront burst. And then, you know, he will taper off a little bit as the fight progresses. So, goes back to the Malakin. Really needed him to be the focus fire candidate.
If you look
here.
at Malakin right now farming the actions, like his attack speed is so slow. Like it's like 1 attack a second almost. Like just going for the shrunken head as well kind of like makes him not as dependent on the bulwarks kind of like armor deal. So I feel like if you were to go shrunken head there that early on into this game, I don't necessarily think that he needed 2 defensive items. It feels questionable, but perhaps they got a plan. I mean, Dementor Shaman is level 11 now, so he got a Stormcloud level 2 at least. So there's going to be a lot of armor items in effect here, but at the same time, I don't think that the Complexity necessarily cares too much. They are just going to continue to do this their way.
So that's what I'm wondering now, because now Baltazar's in the spot of, like, does he finish the Demonic? You mentioned he's lacking attack speed. Obviously, that would help with that a little bit. I mean, I guess he kind of has to, because, yeah, the attack speed, it is a high priority, because I think maybe getting the Demonic and then perhaps something like a Rift Shards or maybe you could start to argue a Harkons, because obviously this Legion team is really prioritizing this armor here on their side. So, you know, maybe you want to go that direction. But I think after he finishes Demonic, then you just got to go all out, you know, some big damage item, right?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, Malakin works similar to a hero like Predator, where attack speed is just so viable. Even being, you know, strength heroes and all, like, you need agility over anything else, simply because you need attack speed, because it goes so well with your passive abilities. Or in this case, for Malakin, it's a toggle ability, but still, like, it serves the same purpose. Like, keeping himself alive in those team fights are going to allow him to deal tons of damage over time. So I think that, yeah, just going for the attack speed, probably finishing up the Demonic might be the right case, but as you were talking about before, like the Incendiarius, in my eyes at least, that would have made more sense, at least in the situation where BMG needed to keep up the aggression.
Yeah, he can't go that now, though. I mean, it's like he goes Sanitarius now, and it's too many early game items.
Unfortunately, yes, that is the case. The time limit for that item has expired. And if you look at the Legion team, like Hellbringer now, he's got a Void Talisman. He's going to favor that before completing the Restoration Stone, which I think is the correct choice here. But just the fact that he's got an Arcana as well on top of that, and he's actually the leading hero on the Legion team, 420 gold per minute. Like, when he gets a Restoration Stone, like 3 melee heroes on the Hellborn side, it's not going to be easy to make a stand in those team fights. And we have a Magnus with an Eruption, almost level 3 now, as he closes by to level 16. And, like, I'm not entirely sure. Like, BMG is not going to have any more heroes that can pick up Shrunken Heads either. Like, it's only Malakin that has that kind of protection. So in team fights, it's just going to be them, yeah, literally just being immobilized for several seconds.
Yeah.
And a Pearl Ultimate. If they somehow were to be able to avoid both the Eruption and the double restorations of Hellbringer, there's still a Pearl Ultimate that you need to get through.
Yep, you're saying it's a tough challenge here for BMG, and it definitely is. I mean, you know, not to be too critical on this Demented Shaman pick once again, because it did have value in the laning phase, and that was fun to see. And we saw how quickly they dropped Berserker early on in the laning phase with the combo of him Cthulhu Font. But that's another thing to take from this as well. It's like even with that potential, and as strong as that maybe was, there's a lot more to the game than just that early game laning phase. And so, you know, that idea, that combo, a lot of these fights aren't taking place in the lanes, of course, you know, with a lot of these creeps nearby. So you really lose out on that potential for the most part. So yeah, I mean that's what you could take from the idea of going this combo of heroes. You know, whether or not, again, was it the best in hindsight here?
Restoration Stone
is
finished.
Wow, on Hellbringer. So he's got that double.
I mean, 25-minute mark, and it's not even like a rushed Restoration Stone by any means. Like, he's got a Void and a Sacrificial Stone and the Steam Boots completed like before. So
yeah,
impressive plays by Fuzzy.
420 gold per minute here. He's almost level 16. A little bit more farm here, and you'll have it. So that means level 3 double Malphus. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary to go up against. So,
bot lane Xania is going to fall, unfortunately.
Definitely dead. That Unbreakable. It's like, all right, you're gonna live a couple more seconds if that. So he dies. You just see how hard hitting Berserkers are becoming. So I want to talk about the staff real quickly, because obviously, again, that's what he's going for here. Again, as far as it being a great item, it does so much for him. You see right there. Not only does it remove all debuffs, it allows him to activate it. It's like a shrunken head. Yes and no. Obviously, it doesn't prevent further stuns, but it makes a point that if you happen to be stunned, you can just remove it immediately. And then on top of that, you're taking 80% debuff and stun reduction anyways from the ability itself. So very good for that purpose. It increases the damage you deal, and then it also removes that whole increased damage taken effect of what is 15%. I mean, that's quite a bit. So, you know, removing that right there on top of it all, I frankly think it could just remove that, and it would still be a decent staff of the Master. So the fact it does even that much more, it's a really good item again. So not surprised.
It's certainly a must-have. If you were to pick this hero, then yeah, you need that item. Pearl even throwing off his first spell on Berserker there for some unknown reason.
Oh, it was a Storm Cloud.
Oh, the Storm Cloud.
Yeah, he's been doing that. We saw that in the top fight too. Every time the Storm Cloud comes out, he just purges Berserker right away.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. You can purge the Storm Cloud as well. That just goes back even more to the point that you brought out earlier. They have a Pearl on their lineup, and still they've just instant picked that Demented Shaman as their last pick. It's unfortunately a little bit questionable. Up at the top lane, Willowmaker on Deadwood is up. He's looking for the Pearl. He should be able to skip Magnus just in the nick of time. Well played by Oscar, sensing that something is up there. Perhaps they were even looking to bait it. Or they might find him. No, he's gonna pour it out. Wow, you can clearly tell, like, Oscar is just like, oh, here's a road in the forest. I wonder what's created this.
No, something's there. Well, yeah, that warded side place by Maki actually arguably saved his own life, because if he did commit for a kill on a Pearl there, that could have been turned perhaps. So it's a close call, but in the end, nobody dies there.
Yeah, just so much team fight composition. Like, Demonic Breastplate finished on Magnus. Like, what the hell?
Wow. He gets it before Malikan.
That's just insane.
And there's a staff, there's a Storm Spirit. Wow. I mean, these are just some great mid-game items here coming out for complexity. So
meanwhile, on the Hellborn side, Cthulhu is about to finish his portal key. That's like the comparison that you can make for these two teams right now. Like the kind of items that they are looking to pick up. Like, it's just such a difference that it's not even funny for the Hellborn team. Yeah. And the Demented Shaman, once more, like, he's in an incredibly risky position. Like, he's betting on the fact that Legion team believes that he's got backup. Like, that's like, it's all in the mind right now. Like, he's just living so dangerously, but it's paying off this time.
Yeah, and Xania, of course, a lot of history of being more of a greedy support player in the end. I mean, this time he is playing more of the secondary support, so even more understandable. But I mean, he's 260 gold per minute. He's working towards a staff, which I don't know. That doesn't feel like it's a great item in this game. So it just increases the duration. It basically makes it, I don't think it's 100% uptime, but it makes it, you know, pretty close to the uptime there of the Storm Cloud. Thus, more armor that you get from it, thus more minus armor, and then, of course, the, well, what else is the duration on the radius? Okay, so that's even a bigger radius, but I don't know. I think more of these defensive items, honestly, would benefit, but
I agree. Where I'm on the same page, at least, as you are, I don't think the defensive items are going to make a difference in this game. I think that they had to just follow through with their setup here that they had, full out on that aggression, with the Malikan kind of being some kind of like a semi-late game carry, which they could potentially fall back to if the laning phase were to fall apart, which it kind of did. Or the laning part went well, but after that, Complexity Gaming, just their team fight has just been miraculous in this game, number 2. And they're not going to take any risks. They're just going to fall back once more and continue farming. Can't really blame them. They knew for a fact that Berserker get one more item and he's literally like unkillable.
It's an interesting spot because Shrunken in this game in general really isn't that great anyway, so let alone a Berserker with a staff. Again, it's not even really necessary, so he's already so much reduced duration on stuns and whatnot, and then of course having a staff allows him to just activate it and get out of stuns anyway, so I'm wondering what he's going to go for with that said, but...
Deadwood jumped in a risky position. He got a double damage out of it though, so now when he got it, give it to Malikan, potentially could turn the team fight around. I do think the Legion team picked up on the fact that there was a double damage down there to grab though, so they're probably going to play a little bit more passive here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I would assume at least. Perhaps this is something that BMG wants to use to force a conquer fight, kind of force BMG or Complexity Gaming to close in on them. I think that they're not going to get much of a better shot. Like, they just finished their items. Perhaps wait for Demeter Shaman to get his staff. I'm not sure how far off he is. But after that, like, you need to make something happen. Like, you got Shrunken Head now, and Deadwood, like, Demonic Breastplate is finished on Malikan. You can't wait for a 4th item to finish on him. Like, it's literally only Malikan farming in that team.
Yeah.
While the Legion team, like, if they get Sheep Sticks now on Fussy, for example, when he already got the Restoration Stone, like, that's just a nightmare to deal with. There's no way that's going to happen. Storm Spirit's picked up on Ophelia. Like, Love is even going to be able to get a portal key if they keep getting towers here in the near future, or if they can secure yet another team fight for themselves. So, Hellborn team, like, the timer, they are going to utilize the DD to take Conquer as expected. The only question is, does Complexity feel the need to actually force a fight here, or simply just let Balthazar have the token? I don't think that they necessarily need to force anything. They could just let Balthazar have the token if they want to.
That's a good point. Yeah, as odd as that may seem to sound, they are going to do that. I mean, they get there pretty late, and whether or not that was actually a decision. Actually, they're going to jump at Deadwood does. Berserker with the counter now. See a lot of counter play coming out. No bubble use just yet. There we go. The bubble comes out. Malikan in the ultimate form, but Berserker in the background. He tears through Dimension, shoving it. Dropping it, swaps out. She goes down, though, right away, and Dimension's probably going to fall anyways. He's dealing with a couple in the background over there. Meanwhile, Malikan's dealing with the whole team. He is going to fall. Again, he has the token at least. You see Berserker running away now, as realizing that wasn't going to be enough, but there goes, exactly. He let him get the token. It just didn't matter. They melt him after the fact. The choice to actually go in right there by BMG, I mean, I know it's one of those split second, but clearly...
They were desperate, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a good decision to go in. Like, Balthazar or Malikan isn't the kind of hero that utilizes the token too well either. Like, when he pops up, when he respawns, like, he doesn't have his ultimate form, so there's literally nothing to be gained from the token. So jumping like that, just giving away a kill literally. Oh,
God.
shit.
And we see the carnage as well. Again, another benefit. It actually works against buildings, including towers, and they just melt right there. He's hitting for 460 so quickly with that carnage up. So, and again, it's only a 30-second cooldown, so that's going to be coming back up
Magnus
shortly.
almost. He was stunned by the entangle. He was looking to go back in, but no. Well, Complexity Gaming so far, I mean, they're playing this flawlessly. Like, they're playing so damn well, just as a unit, as you would expect from this kind of team. But they are definitely showing us here that they are ready. They want to make that qualifier spot to Thailand.
You know,
like, they are in the loser brackets now, but they are by no means out of it. Like, they are showing that right here.
Oh, yeah, it's a long grind, as I was kind of hinting at earlier. I'll get into that later on, but yeah, it's not over just yet. But yeah, they got to be feeling great here. I will say, I meant to bring this up earlier, but Fantasy actually did an interview with Fusen here going into this weekend. I believe it's on Hontour.com, the article itself. You can check it out there. But, you know, I kind of skimmed through a bit of it myself, and one of the bigger things I actually picked up from it was that Fusen was pretty open that frankly, he feels that all these other teams, including Complexity, are better when it comes to teamwork and better when it comes to, you know, being on the same page and synergy and everything. And it's understandable because, obviously, BMG, they have been through some roster changes and whatnot, because most of them will be Insanio recently. But he basically making the point that they're going to just really have to rely on their individual skill to ultimately take them over the edge and be victorious. So, but as you're kind of getting at there, Complexity, when they're playing on point like they are here in this series, let alone Game 2, it is a very difficult team to beat. And no doubt they are all on the same page here with what is on the line. So that's kind of just coming through now, and what Fusa was kind of getting at there in that interview. So I just saw an auction that Malphite purchased by Berserker. That could be one of several items. The one I would expect is probably the Beast Behemoth Heart, but could
Yeah, I
also
would
be a
assume that's the
Bloodborne
case.
Maul. I'm just saying.
It
be
could,
that.
but highly unlikely, but it could. Nah, I mean, it's going to be the heart, most likely here. Like Magnus now as well, he got another haste rune. Like, he just can't get enough. Like, he's just on point of covering all the runes this game. And he got a demonic breastplate. He got, no, actually, does he have another item flying out? I felt like he completed that demonic breastplate for quite some time ago. He did pick up even more armor though, plate mail, so he's probably going for the forceful skull now as well to top it off. But BMG, like, what are you doing right now? Like, you're running around kind of like doing, yeah, accomplishing nothing more or less. Like, you're hoping for Malkin in some kind of way to carry you, but for every item that he gets, like, there are 3 or 4 heroes on the complexity side that's getting one as well, and there he falls, like, going a little bit too greedy. That just shows, like, that kind of position that we're in, just way too dangerous.
You see Berserker, though, too, on top of that. Jesus. You know, those red number spots, that's every auto attack. He's hitting over 500 damage, and with how quickly he attacks, it's insane. He's going to be jumped right here. The Carnage is not up, actually, so a decent chance to maybe kill him, but never mind. Furrow comes through with the bubble, and Carnage coming up in 3 seconds. Just watch this turn now from Berserker. Oh, it's almost on cue. Out comes the E right there. The mark for death, and, well, Dimension will fall. Now Andromeda next in line. There you go. Double tap for what you got, actually. So they're going to now push into the base further, get another second set of racks here even, and with no buyback, GT well plays are being called. That's it. Complexity will take out Bad Monkey Gaming, thus moving on to what will be the losers bracket finals tomorrow. BMG, there will be a new champion here in Han Tour Season 4. So,
Good point.
Yeah, that's what really just happened too, obviously. So again, the defending champions of BMG, unfortunately not going back to Thailand. So again, they had these issues throughout the whole season, but honestly, you know, they did look great at times, and through these playoffs, who knew what was going to happen? Definitely a team that had potential, but they are going to come up short against a very determined Complexity Gaming, no doubt here.
Oh yeah, they are certainly showing here that they have the potential, that they definitely want that spot. They want to make it to Thailand. I mean, this is after all what they have been fighting for ever since DreamHack Summer, more or less. They just want to go to another LAN event. I mean, this has been on their mind for so long right now. So the kind of motivation, the kind of integrity that they have towards this tournament right now and this weekend, it means everything for them. I mean, they are so passionate about the game, and they're kind of like a unit as well as like, when it comes to the team itself, like, they're not only together as a team, like or together as friends as well. They want to meet up, you know, they want to have that kind of bonding, and that definitely pushes them to perform higher than other teams. So well played by Complexity Gaming. There isn't really much left to say. Like, I think that they outdrafted their opponents, or at least they had a more comfortable draft that kind of complemented their strengths more than it did for BMG side. And as you mentioned as well, Fusen said that in the interview that they relied more on that that more individual skills. Like, in the end, it comes down to a team fight. It comes down to being as a unit, and Complexity Gaming clearly showing that they are more experienced in that area of field. So well played. I can't wait to watch them tomorrow when they go up versus either Fresh or Evil Corporation.
Yeah, that's what's going to be happening tomorrow, as I mentioned, the losers bracket finals. Now, again, who they play, obviously, we still have to determine. Which now we're going to be on a little bit of a break here, but that'll be coming up in just a little bit later on today. It's actually set for default time of 3 p.m. Eastern or 2100 Central European time, of course. So in just under an hour is when we should have that best of 3 series now of Evil Corp versus Fresh. And that one, it's not an elimination match, but it's a lot of reason you really want to win that, because not only does it get you to the grand finals, of course, but that also gets you a 1-0 advantage in a best-of-5 format that, again, will be played tomorrow as well. And you also get that rest from the initial match. I mean, it really is a true benefit there. And it's not necessarily claiming the Thailand victory, but it really puts you just about there. So that is an important series, obviously, and that'll be coming up in just under an hour from